Hello everyone, this is candidate master Victor Neustroev, and today we're going to observe a few games that were played in our online chess tournament. And the first game that I want to analyze with you is the game between Valery Yatskevich and Javier Geraldo. In this game, Valery was playing with white pieces, and actually I expected a better play for him, but okay, you'll see. e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, c takes on d4, this is just a common Sicilian, and e5. This line is very similar to what actually Magnus Carlsen is playing. This line can be transformed to Sveshnikov variation, or some people may know this line as Chelyabinsk variation. But instead of knight e5, knight f6 should be played first and then e5. However, you'll see. Here Valery played knight f3. Of course, this is a possible move, but it doesn't really provide white with any advantage. The best move is knight b5, with the idea to get to d6. I believe here black would play d6 to stop knight d6 activity. Then knight 1 to c3, a6. Looks like the only square left is a3. And in this position, the most popular move is knight f6. No, I mean, maybe not this move is the most popular, but if black plays this move, then it's a Sveshnikov variation, and I believe every strong player knows this position. And in this position there are several moves. e5 you're playing, maybe I would recommend bishop g5 move, because then if b5, then white has two options, to play knight d5 or to take on f6 first. If we take on f6 first, no, then queen f6 is a bad move. G takes on f6 should be played, of course, then knight d5. Then if black plays f5 to try to ruin the center to get the other f pawn. White plays bishop d3. The only problem is the knight standing on the edge of the board that white should activate somehow. I think by playing c3, knight c2. c4 is another possibility in this position. Well, this is what I expected to happen, but it didn't. Another option was b5. If so, then we have to play knight d5 immediately. Knight f6. And bishop g5. Now bishop e7, and we don't really want to trade our knight in the center for this bishop, because this dark-squared bishop is restricted by his own pawns, and the knight in the center looks really good. That's why here we take on f6. Then if g takes on f6, it's almost the same. Bishop d3 and c3 should be played. And if bishop takes on f6, this is another typical position where white can again play c3 or c4 immediately to get the knight back to the game. Also something like g3, h4 to restrict this bishop's activity. This is what is popular in modern chess on the top level right now. Oh, maybe not right now, but maybe 2-3 years ago. But people still like this position to play for both white and black. However, it didn't happen in the game. Instead, Valery decided to play knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, bishop b4, and bishop c4, because the pawn on e4 is not hanging. If knight e4 in this position, then of course here bishop f7 can be played, but queen d5 is a better move. It's a double attack. Knight d6, then just bishop b3, queen e7, castle, castle, bishop g5, and I believe here white has a compensation for the sacrificed pawn. However, after bishop c4, instead of taking the pawn on e4, black decided to castle, what was a good move, and white castle too, but now the pawn is hanging. However, even here, white can get a compensation. What do you think? What's the best move in this position for white? Valery played bishop d3, what is a huge mistake. I can even call it a blunder. The best move was bishop a3, attacking the rook. And if now rook goes to e8, how would you play? Queen d5. It's a double attack again. We want to take on f7 and on e4. For example, knight f6, queen f7. And here it's obvious that white wins a pawn and he's better because of bishop pair. And also black king is quite weak. After bishop a3 move, another possibility for black is to play d6. But then just rook e1, the knight has to go somewhere, let's say g5, then bishop d5 can be played. Maybe you can take on d6 immediately after knight g5, but okay, bishop d5, knight takes. The pawn on d6 dies anyway. The pawn on e5 dies as well, but the c2 is hanging. This position is approximately equal. This is how, then bishop d6, this is how white could equalize the position, but instead they played such a bad move like bishop d3. Knight c5. And in this position, just something like rook e1 allows white to keep playing. Of course, here black is better already, but then d6, something like that could happen, and I'm not sure that black could win here. It's a playable position. Again, I say it's better for black, but only one mistake can equalize the game. However, here Valery decided to apply a tactical strike. After bishop d3 and knight c5, he sacrificed the bishop on h7. That move makes sense. What's the idea? King takes on h7, knight g5. And this move, this sacrifice bishop h7, makes sense only in case if king goes back to g8. Then white wins in a forced way. For example, queen h5, no, actually the only move to continue. Queen h7 is a mating threat. To sacrifice the queen on g5 doesn't really make sense. Black loses immediately. Rook e8, queen takes on f7, king h8, queen h5, king g8. We open the f file. Oh, actually, we just got rid of the f7 pawn. Now we want to open the f file. That's why we play f4. Black has to play e4 to keep the file closed. But then queen f7 and f5 with the idea to play f6. How to protect? Maybe knight e5 attacking the queen, but it doesn't work. Queen h5, king g8, f6, he takes, and then it's a checkmate on f6 finally. Here black didn't have any chance to save. It's because inactivity of these pieces. Okay, let's go back. However, when Valery decided to make this sacrifice, he probably miscalculated. Maybe he didn't really expect king g6 move, after which it's not easy to find how to continue the attack. Well, what can I suggest? Maybe f4, maybe h4. Usually in such positions we should analyze such moves like queen d3, h4, and queen g4. Here queen d3 of course doesn't work, there is a knight on c5. h4 is a possible move. As for queen g4, it can be played, but then d5 or f5 can be played with a tempo. So I'm not sure about this move. I would play h4, by the way. Okay. However, Valery played bishop a3. He just lost his knight on g5, but took on c5. Rook e8, rook e1, king h7, just to move the king to a safer position. Then rook e3, with the idea to give a check or maybe to get to g3 and attack the queen, but it doesn't really make sense. black is winning here. Rook f3, queen e6. And the final move of this game is queen d3. Of course, white could play this position with bishop d6 maybe to stop the activity of this bishop and the development of this rook, but for some reason Valery played queen d3. The game is already over, he's down a piece. All that black need is to develop these two pieces, and then they should shake hands, and white should resign here. However, queen d3 blunders e4 move, and then the game is over. It's a fork. Okay, so that was the game. There were a few critical mistakes. The most important one was queen d3. Also, bishop h7 is a miscalculation, I believe. And bishop d3, I just don't understand this move at all. If you want to attack somehow this knight, just play queen d3 if you don't see bishop a3. However, maybe Valery played bishop d3 because he considered that after knight c5 he could sacrifice the bishop on h7 and win the game. So that I can ask, what if knight f6? Bishop g5, but I don't believe it works. Then d5, for example, and black is better in this position. Okay, anyway, here black lost because of a few blunders and also because of no knowledge of the theory. So white just didn't know how to play this position and how to get a better position that is playable for both colors. Okay, thank you for your attention. We will continue with the next game analysis.